Imagine you're the King of England. You've got the crown, the gold, the castles, the speeches about duty and God and country. And then the Vikings show up. Again. They burn a town, grab what they can carry, and sail off like it's a weekend hobby. Now imagine you respond by doing the one thing that guarantees they'll come back. You pay them. Not once. Not as a weird emergency. You turn it into policy. You basically invent the world's first national please don't hurt us subscription service. Today on Royal Idiots, we're talking about Æthelred the Unready, the king whose name became a warning label, and whose solution to invasion was to keep handing the invaders money until the entire system broke. Welcome to Royal Idiots, the podcast where we explore the most powerful bad decisions in history. I'm your host, Melissa, and today we're looking at the life of Æthelred, better known as the Unready, and how a kingdom tried to buy peace and ended up purchasing its own downfall. Alright, before we get to the truly spectacular mistakes, we need to set the scene. This is England in the late 900s and early 1000s. It's not one unified, modern nation with a standing army and a neat tax system. It's a patchwork kingdom trying to hold itself together with loyalty, tradition, and the constant hope that the next crisis won't arrive before harvest. Geographically, England is both blessed and cursed. Blessed, because water is a defensive moat. Cursed, because the same water is also a highway for anyone with a sail and the ambition to use it. The North Sea is basically a busy road connecting Scandinavia to the British Isles, and Viking fleets know every shortcut. Politically, England has been through a lot. There were earlier waves of Viking invasion and settlement. Large parts of northern and eastern England had been under Viking rule in the Danelaw generations earlier. By Ætheld's time, the kingdom has recovered significant control, but the memory of Viking dominance isn't ancient history. It's within living memory's living memory, if that makes sense. People know how quickly the map can change. And then there's the problem of how kingship works. A king is powerful, sure, but he's not an absolute monarch in the later sense. He relies on leading nobles, regional power brokers, and a council known as the Witan. If your big nobles don't back you, you can be king on paper and powerless in reality. And if your kingdom is divided, invaders can exploit that division like they were born for it. Ætheld's family background matters here, because his road to the throne is complicated. He's the son of King Edgar, who had been a strong ruler and helped stabilize the kingdom. But Edgar dies, and suddenly the question becomes, who's next? Ætheld has an older half-brother, Edward, known later as Edward the Martyr. And Edward becomes king. But Edward's reign is short, and it ends in murder. And, just to keep things nice and calm, the murder happens at the estate of Ætheld's mother, Queen Æthelred. Was Ætheld directly responsible? Historians argue about it. But even if he had nothing to do with it personally, the optics are a disaster. It's the kind of origin story that never stops following you around. So Ætheld becomes king in 978. He's a child. And the kingdom he inherits is one where powerful families are watching, calculating, and remembering. The reign begins with uncertainty baked right into the throne. As Ætheld grows older, it becomes clear he's facing a problem that would test any ruler: the return of large-scale Viking raiding. At first, these raids can look like what they often were: hit-and-run attacks. Fast ships, coastal targets, quick profit. But over time, the raids get bigger, better organized, and more ambitious. And here's where we need to talk about the nickname, the Unready. In modern English, it sounds like he was unprepared, like he forgot his homework and accidentally became king. But the root is closer to poorly advised or bad counsel. Think less not ready, more the king with the worst group chat in history. Because what Ætheld needed, desperately, was coherent strategy. A stable leadership circle. A way to respond consistently. Instead, he gets caught politics, shifting alliances, suspicion, and occasional bursts of harsh reaction that don't actually solve the underlying problem. Now let's be fair for a second. Defending a coastline against fast-moving raiders is hard. There's no radar, no central command center, no quick mobilization. You rely on local forces, regional leaders, and the ability to gather an army in time. And the Vikings have practiced this for generations. They are specialists in speed, intimidation, and picking your weakest point. Still, a ruler's job is to make hard problems less disastrous, not more disastrous. And this brings us to the decision that defines Ætheld's reign: paying Danegeld. Danegeld is essentially tribute paid to Viking forces to persuade them to leave and not raid, for now. It's a ransom for national security. The logic is simple and extremely tempting. Raising an army is expensive, fighting is risky, and losing is catastrophic. So if you can just pay them to go away, you get peace without bloodshed. But here's the question: if you pay someone to stop robbing you, what have you just taught them? You've taught them that you're profitable. And if you pay them again next year, you haven't bought peace. You've purchased a schedule. The first major payment under Ætheld comes after raids intensify. In 991, there's the Battle of Maldon, where English forces fight and lose. The details are famous, partly because of the poem that memorializes it, but the key point is this: England's defenses are not reliably stopping these attacks. The pressure rises, and Ætheld's government chooses tribute. Money goes out. Vikings go away. For a little while. And then they come back. Because why wouldn't they? From the Viking perspective, it's brilliant. You arrive, demonstrate you can cause pain, take a payment, and leave. It's a campaign with excellent returns and minimal long-term risk. From the English perspective, it's like trying to put out a house fire by purchasing more candles. And each time Ætheld pays, the amounts become larger. Because once you've committed to this approach, you're negotiating from weakness. You can't credibly threaten to fight if everyone knows you'd rather pay. You've set your own price tag. Now we should pause and appreciate what it means to raise these sums. This isn't a king pulling coins from a personal vault like it's pocket change. This is taxation. This is squeezing landowners and communities. This is moving real wealth out of England and into the hands of men who will, very likely, fund their next fleet with it. It also does something corrosive inside the country. It undermines confidence. If you're a local leader and you're told, "We're paying them off again," what do you think about the central government's ability to protect you? If you're a farmer whose taxes rise because the king would rather bribe invaders than decisively deal with them, what do you think about the king? And so the raids continue. Sometimes there's fighting, sometimes there's paying, sometimes there are promises and broken alliances. The kingdom lurches from crisis to crisis, trying to get back to normal life and never managing it for long. Eventually, Ætheld's reign reaches one of its darkest and most infamous moments, the St. Brice's Day Massacre in 1002. Here's what's going on. There are Danes in England who have settled, some for generations. There are also mercenaries and recent arrivals. Ætheld's court becomes convinced, or claims to be convinced, that Danes within the kingdom are a fifth column, ready to betray England from the inside. And instead of pursuing targeted intelligence, or diplomacy, or a careful security policy, Ætheld orders a massacre of Danes in English territory. Let's be clear, this isn't just morally horrific, though it absolutely is. It's also strategically disastrous. Because what message does that send? To Danes living in England, it says there is no safety, no trust, no future. To Danish leaders across the sea, it provides the perfect rallying cry: vengeance, justice, honor, and an excuse to invade with popular support. And if one of the people killed is connected to Danish royalty, you've just poured oil on an already burning situation. This is the moment where Ætheld's approach shifts from pay them to go away to make them hate us forever. It's a rare achievement to take a dire security problem and somehow make it worse in two different directions. But here we are. By the early 1000s, the raids are no longer just raids. They are increasingly organized campaigns. And eventually, they are outright invasions. Enter Sweyn Forkbeard, King of Denmark. Sweyn isn't a random raider looking for loot. He's a monarch with the resources of a kingdom behind him. When he comes with a real plan: take England. And the terrifying part: much of England yields. Not necessarily because everyone loves Sweyn, but because the system under Ætheld is exhausted. Paying tribute has drained wealth. Political trust is thin. The leadership is fragmented. In some areas, submission is a calculation. Better to accept a new ruler than to be burned for a king who can't protect you. In 1013, Sweyn's invasion succeeds so thoroughly that Æthelred flees. Think about that. The King of England leaves England. He goes to Normandy, where his wife Emma is from, and where he hopes to find refuge and support. It's hard to overstate what a psychological blow this is. Kings in this era are not supposed to be administrative figures who relocate when things get tough. The king is tied to the land, to the people, to divine legitimacy. A king in exile looks like a kingdom without a center. Then, in a twist that probably felt like divine intervention to Æthelred, Sweyn dies suddenly in 1014. And the political reality shifts again. The Danes in England have to decide what to do. The English nobles have to decide what to do. And Æthelred is invited back, on conditions. That detail matters. It's not just, "Welcome home, your majesty." It's, "We'll take you back if you govern better." Which is an absolutely brutal thing to have in your historical record. Æthelred returns, but stability does not. Because the underlying issues are still there. The Danish presence remains powerful, now led by Sweyn's son, Cnut. And Ætheld's reign continues to be defined by political turmoil, military pressure, and decisions that don't create lasting security. Æthelred dies in 1016, and not long after, Cnut becomes King of England. The Viking problem, the thing Æthelred tried to manage with payments and panic, ends with a Viking on the throne. So what were the consequences of Ætheld's choices? Let's put them in plain terms. First, Danegeld didn't eliminate the threat. It incentivized it. It signaled that England was a reliable source of wealth for anyone capable of violence at sea. Second, the constant payments weakened the economic and political fabric of the kingdom. Raising huge sums requires administrative reach, but it also creates resentment. It intensifies class tensions. And it makes people question what exactly they're paying for. Third, the St. Brice's Day massacre turned a dangerous situation into an existential one. Instead of isolating threats, it widened them. Instead of reducing enemies, it unified them. Fourth, the repeated instability, changes in advisors, internal power struggles, lack of coherent defense, made it easier for a well-organized invader to present himself as the new normal. If your current system feels like permanent crisis, even conquest can look like order. By the time the dust settled, Anglo-Saxon authority had been fundamentally shaken. The political center had failed to project strength consistently, and the end result was that England moved into a new era under Danish rule, at least for a time, under Cnut. Now, legacy. Because history is never just a verdict, it's also a set of ripples. Ætheld's name lives on as a kind of shorthand for disastrous leadership, but the deeper legacy is what his reign reveals about the pressures of the time. England was evolving. It was becoming more administratively capable. Ironically, collecting Danegeld required systems that later kings could use for other purposes. Crisis can accelerate state building, even when the reason for building is terrible. His reign also shows how strategies of appeasement can backfire when the other side's incentives aren't aligned with yours. If your opponent benefits from continued conflict, paying them to stop is not a peace treaty, it's a business model. And then there's the myth versus reality piece. Was Æthelred personally incompetent? Or was he a ruler trapped in a bad situation with poisonous court politics, a shaky start, and enemies who were genuinely formidable? The honest answer is, both things can be true. The Vikings were a serious threat. But Ætheld's choices, especially repeating short-term fixes without building long-term capacity, made a hard problem much harder. All right. It's time for the royal idiot verdict. So how should we judge Æthelred the Unready? On the royal idiot scale, I'm giving him royal disaster. Here's why. Paying Danegeld once as an emergency move. Questionable, but understandable. Paying it repeatedly, at escalating amounts, without building a defense that makes payment unnecessary. That's strategic self-sabotage. And then ordering the St. Brice's Day massacre, a move that inflamed conflict and handed your enemies a moral and political weapon. That's the kind of decision that doesn't just fail, it echoes. Æthelred didn't merely struggle against the Viking threat. He helped turn it into an outcome, England conquered by a Danish king. That's royalty-grade failure. Next time on Royal Idiots, we'll explore the story of Stephen, the grandson of William the Conqueror who seized the throne by force rather than follow the line of succession, thus triggering the anarchy. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the podcast and share it with a fellow history fan. And if you ever find yourself thinking, maybe I can just pay this problem to go away, remember Æthelred. That invoice has a way of coming back.